On this episode of K3VBOT's Garage, I drive this 1970 Ford Thunderbird 2,200 miles all the way across country from Seattle, Washington, back home to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Here we are in beautiful Seattle, Washington, where my buddies hired me to come out and run a booth at a game convention. Instead of taking the free flights home, I bought this. It's a 1970 Ford Thunderbird, has a 429 V8 in it, C6 automatic transmission, and a Ford 9-inch rear end. I don't have a lot of videos of it in the parking garage during the event, so we start here, about 50 miles outside of town. So I haven't made it very far yet, probably only about 45-50 minutes home, and I decided to stop at the Schwab Tires, which that's probably going to be backwards for you because I'm using a cell phone. But this old bird needed new tires, so we went ahead and put some new stickies on her, and they even gave us the white walls, which I'm A-okay with because I think that just sets off the look of this a little bit. And we're going to swing by Quali Falls. It's about 15 minutes away from where we're at, and then I think our tentative plan is to head down towards like Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. I've got a place to stay in Iowa tomorrow night. Not real sure what I'm going to do tonight yet. Probably just see how far I can go. So stay tuned, and we got the big Bluebird here. She's ready to rock and roll. Snoqualmie Falls was just about 15 minutes down the road, so of course I had to stop. Take a cool picture in front of the sign. I don't know why I didn't record anything from the falls. I guess I just wasn't really thinking. But I walked over the bridge, got to check out the falls. The city of Snoqualmie also had some other cool stuff, like this old railroad yard. Had some neat old engines and stuff. I actually didn't stop because I was feeling a little bit antsy to actually get on the road and start making some real progress. So we are out here somewhere between Idaho and Montana. Not exactly sure because I haven't seen a sign for a while. And I just pulled off because it said there was some scenic view stuff. Turns out you have to take some kind of lift all the way up to see it. But it doesn't really matter because if you look around me, it is nothing but rolling hills all around. It's been one heck of a beautiful drive. And this baby, she's kicking some major butt. She doesn't necessarily like going up hills all that much. She tends to get a little warm, and it looks like our body work here is starting to take a toll from all the bumps and stuff. But I can't really complain about her, except I hope all that fluid didn't just come from me, because it might have. Oops. Definitely might have a little bit of a heating issue there. If you can see, that's kind of boiling. We do have that overflow, which is kind of nice. My overflow tank looks like a, I don't know if it, I guess it is a glass bottle. If it wasn't, it'd probably be melted right now. But yeah, that definitely did come from this car. That's alright. We'll let her cool off a little bit and then keep cruising her down the road. See if maybe we can let her cool off a little bit tonight and get some water in her. It's starting to get dark around here. I have a feeling we're going to find ourselves in a little bit of an evening cruise here pretty soon. Yep. There we go. Gonna try and make it a few more miles here and find myself a nice Walmart parking lot where I can buy a pillow and blanket and probably crash in the back of this thing. Last night we covered a ton of ground. We made it all the way to Butte, Montana. In day 2, we had even more ground to cover, so we started early and started heading east towards South Dakota.
Well, yeah, that's a little bit of an issue there. We'll let that cool down a little bit in front of Custer National Forest campground. But overall, she's doing pretty good, except for that, of course. Cruise is pretty smooth at 70, 75, 80 at times. Alright, well, we found out that she doesn't like going up hills, and she doesn't like sitting in traffic without overheating. So I bought a case of water because they didn't have gallons of water, and we're going to cool her off a little bit.
I'm making pretty decent timing, really. Just swung through Spearfish on my way to the Mount Rushmore exit, which is where we're off to right now. So hopefully we'll be there pretty soon. This truck in front of me is on his brakes and kind of driving me nuts.
Going to leave our mark at the Mount Rushmore place. Coolant comes off, but she made it up here, so we're gonna go see what we can of the monument, and then come back and maybe she'll be cooled down for us. She overheated a little bit, spit some coolant out of the overflow. So, well, our glass bottle overflow. So we're just gonna kind of, throw some water at it. And I'm sure that's gonna do a whole lot of good. Yeah, pour some up top. Trying to cool that down a little bit. And lucky for me, I bought a whole case of water to do that with. So we're gonna get her cooled down, and we're gonna work our way back down that big old hill.
You hear that noise? It's actually been with us this entire time, but you can hear it really good right now. It's proof that this engine is knocking on heaven's door. Hey, hey, oh yeah, buddy. 86 bottles of beer on the wall, 86 bottles of beer. You drink one down, pass it around. 85 bottles of beer on the wall. 58 bottles of beer on the wall, 58 bottles of beer.
It's about 10 o'clock wherever we are in South Dakota, I think. And we got some jugs of water because the water bottles just aren't cutting it. She's going through some water, and I think the water's changing colors. Oil looks fine, but the water looks like it's maybe getting a little brown. So we're gonna use our new jugs of water and keep moving. That's the meaning of go drive it right there. Collect as many bugs as you can. Yeah, look at that. That big old hawk beak on this beast. Catches every single bug it finds. Flavor. Look at that. Yeah, I'm weird. That's alright. Come inside, give me something to eat. So, there's where your old 10-gauge light's sitting. here, but she has a tendency to want to creep up, mostly with going up hills and sitting in traffic. Right now she's cooperating pretty well, so we're gonna probably give her a little bit more juice here. But check out this dashboard. This really is pretty cool. Got your fuel lights and all that stuff. That's the speedometer that doesn't work at all. A clock that also doesn't work. The temp gauge does work, but it's kind of a dummy gauge because it just says, oh yeah, you're hot or you're not. And then the wipers do work, and so does the washer fluid, but we're not going to use that right now. We're just going to hope we don't overheat. We've got about 6 hours until our stop in Iowa, and we're just going to try and make it there and then take tomorrow as it is. So I did make it a little bit further, actually about 3 hours further, and actually I didn't have any other issues with temperature, which I'm gonna take that for granted right now, but did start having some issues with the rear end. I think it's that rear drum. My suspicion is a spring or something broke loose inside of it, and everything in there's just kind of sloshing around because it was making a terrible noise. And I have everything except for the jack in the trunk, so I have no way to try and take care of that right here, right now, although it is like 3 a.m. So my plan was to swing up north, because I was going down Highway 90 past Sioux Falls. I probably just butchered the pronunciation of that. And I got thinking, because I was supposed to be going towards Iowa, and thought, oh, maybe I'll swing up and see the QA1 office because of the hashtag Go Drive It. That's one of their pages. But anyway, I am stranded at this point tonight, so I think I'm gonna crawl back in there, and that is a Ford dealership. So I'm gonna pester them tomorrow, probably. And if they won't let me throw the car up on the lift and maybe just pull all those brake stuff out so I can at least go down the road. The car has huge disc brakes on the front, so those should be enough to stop it. But that's for tomorrow. For tonight, hitting the sack.
Big shout out to my buddy John with Mad Scientist Garage who offered me a place to stay. Sorry I didn't make it, buddy.
So I am here at a gas station in Medelia, Minnesota, and the Bluebird's not here. For good reason, because the Ford dealership that I had the car at this morning put it up on their lift. The dude didn't know what he was talking about, wouldn't take the rear tire off like I asked, and diagnosed all of my rear end noise as front end suspension play because of worn out bearings and bushings and all that kind of stuff. I know he's full of shit. So I took it to Napa to ask them, hey, do you have any suggestions of shops in the area that might be able to help me out? They didn't know because, you know, Medelia has, I don't know, maybe a couple thousand people. But they had a lift there at their shop. So we stuck the car on the lift, we pulled the rear wheel off, and found out the rear axle bearing is shot. Now, conveniently, that is a press-in bearing, and the closest one is about a half hour away in Mankato, Minnesota. That part, having that might help me out. If I did have it here, I might be able to, I don't know, use a hammer and sledge it in or do something stupid that probably would only get me another maybe 100 miles down the road. So I started looking at shops in the area, and no shop in Medelia. Closest ones are in Mankato. None of them could get me in until Monday. Since it's Thursday and I have to be to work on Monday, I can't wait here for 4 days and then hope that they can get that done and the car makes it the rest of the way. I reached out to QA1. They're about an hour and a half northeast of where I'm at right now. They want to help out, but they don't have any room in the shop because they're doing research and dev stuff right now on other trucks. One of their neighbor shops was willing to help me out. They could get me in, but
a tow for an hour and a half away, about 101 miles, is $550, which is ridiculous for a tow. I understand why they say $550, but I just can't pay that now for a tow. I could rent a truck and trailer for about that, and then I'm guaranteed to make it home in time. So I am weighing my options right now. I have a suspicion I'm probably going to end up in a rental truck and trailer, and we're going to try and make it home that way. So stay tuned. Not exactly where I'd like to be, but I've been here for about 5 hours, 3 hours on the phone with different shops and stuff in the area, and we're not really having any luck. I actually haven't done a walk around on the Bluebird for you guys, so while we're stranded here at this church parking lot waiting for my taxi to come, I'll give you a little bit of a tour. Our driver's seat's not too bad. Passenger seat needs a little love. Dashboard's not too bad. We have one little split in the dash pad right there. The rear seat is pretty clean, pretty comfortable really. This little wraparound section here is pretty darn cool if I had to say so myself. Just one of them luxury features. That piece is in the trunk. Doors close all right. Front fender has a little Bondo inner. Nice little crack right there on the beak. Boom, like that feature. We'll check out under the hood here. Here's our 429 V8. Our rod knock is back there on cylinder 8, I found out. Fan shroud's cracked. Part of the reason we're overheating, I have a suspicion. The other part is this fan clutch is completely seized, so it spins with the belts and all that stuff, but it doesn't like to do anything else. Battery is cool. We have a bunch of little cubbies in here, which we've got some miscellaneous stuff like a paper towel and some kind of 12-piece tool kit, something there. There's nothing in that little cubby. One of them had a water bottle in it. One of them had some brake fluid in it. Yep, there you go. That little cubby has brake fluid in it. One of those wonderful features. Came with the car. Close. There we go. This side's not too bad, missing a little bit of paint. Pretty straight though overall. A little more paint issue right there. Got our little emblems, those are pretty neat actually. Our vinyl top has our traditional splitting for being old and rusted and crusted. I'll show you the other side because I think it's a little bit more gnarly. Our tail panel is pretty cool. I actually really like the tail end of this more than I like the hawk beak on the front. That piece is in the glove box. We'll continue back up here. Here's the part of that I thought was pretty gnarly. So there's the Bluebird in all of her glory. I'm in a box truck. Not just any box truck. A 20-foot long U-Haul. Because that's all U-Haul had that I could use to pull a car trailer. Holy crap. This thing has a working speedometer. I haven't had one of those in days. I bet it doesn't overheat at stoplights either. This is wonderful. And I have AC. I should just rent a box truck every time I want to go on an adventure. That's it for this episode of K3VBOT's Garage. If you'd like to see more of the Bluebird, let me know. I'm kind of tired of doing Fords now. I'd kind of like to get back to my Mopar though. So you might not see this one here for a little while, if at all.